السلام
عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
شو استوى
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد. So tonight inshallah ta'ala that will be continuing discussing the book Al-Mulaqis al-Fiqhi by Sheikh Salih Fawzan Hafidullah ta'ala. And so far that we have covered from the lesson that we have covered so far, that we have covered the bab of ibadat. So those matters that relates to ibadat, which include salat, before salat, tahara, salat. We have covered also az-zakat, siyam, al-hajj, wal-umrah. Also, when we ended the bab of tahara, we discussed our bab al-ibadat. Then we went to the next discussion, which is those matters that relates to things regarding maliyah. And maliyah, things regarding financial matters that we will cover concerning the bab of buyu and those other topics related to matters regarding at-tijara. So matters regarding at-tijara wal-maliyah, we have covered those discussion, and also we went into discussing concerning matter that relates to matter regarding al-fara'id, regarding inheritance, and also al-hiba, and things regarding that the person giving away things concerning mubarra'at, that a person giving away things in charity. So so we ended last week, or the last session, regarding matter that relates to al-fara'id and the ahkam that relates to fara'id, as mentioned in this particular book, where we discussed concerning the final cases regarding certain cases that also that may occur regarding fara'id, matter regarding inheritance, regarding the lady who's mutallaqa. What's the case? What's the hukum regarding her case? The person ikhtilaf fi din, that the individuals involved, that they share different religion, what the case regarding those situations, do they inherit from each other or not? So, and also ended regarding a case concerning al-qital. So cases where that one person may kill or might kill a family member. What's the situation regarding that person inheriting from this or from that? So that inshallah ta'ala we have covered those abwab, and tonight inshallah ta'ala we'll be discussing what the ulama they refer to concerning abab al-usra, matter that relates to family life. So regarding concerning family life, what's the ahkam that Islam have put in place regarding matters relating to family life, including matters regarding al-nikah, matters regarding, as the Shaykh mentioned, regarding matter regarding ahkam al-nikah, ahkam al-khitbah, the person also act al-nikah wa arkani wa shuruti, also regarding kifaya fi nikah, that each share certain things in common. Also al-muharramat, those individuals that you're not allowed to marry shurut fi nikah, regarding a person putting certain stipulation in their marriage contract. Also matter regarding uyub fi nikah, if one of the person it had been discovered that they have certain type of deficiency, regard that deficiency, how can this impact on the marriage? Also regarding al-ankiya, al-kuffar, marrying the non-Muslim, what's the case regarding that? Also sadaqa, as referred to as mahar, what's the hukum regarding that? Then also we discuss, also discussion include regarding al-walimatul urs, regarding the walima, the marriage festival, also ishratul nisa, or the husband and wife to live together, and also other matters relating to al-nikah. So these are of the thing that relates to nikah. Then after at-talaq, and other matters relating to ahkam al-usra. So inshallah ta'ala we'll start regarding ahkam al-nikah. تفضل.
والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. قال المؤلف حفظه الله, chapter 1, title Marriage. Marriage is a serious and crucial subject that made faqirs, Muslim jurists, dedicate great parts of their volumes to tackle it, explaining its rulings as well as its purposes and virtues. This is because marriage is ordained through the Quran, the Sunnah, and juristic consensus.
And also it shows regarding that Islam is of that religion that is comprehensive, that it includes all matter that relates to the life of the person, the person's life, and of those things regarding ibadat, also of those things regarding how the person live with others, conduct themselves, how they have a relationship, and the responsibility that comes in those relationship. So all these matters are taken into consideration by the Sharia. Aywa.
Allah exalted be He, says, then marry those that please you of other women, 2 or 3 or 4. Surah An-Nisa, Ayat 3. In the Quran, Allah exalted be He also mentions that women, 1 is prohibited to marry, then says, and lawful to you are all others beyond these, provided that you seek them in marriage with gifts from your property, desiring chastity, not unlawful sexual intercourse.
أيوة. So the author here, Hafidullah, so Shaykh Hafidullah, in this introduction, as you mentioned, Tamhidi, which is an introduction regarding the topic. So of those things that you have mentioned first regarding that when Islam, the permissibility of marriage. So mentioning the mashru'iyat, the permissibility of marriage, that is something which is allowed in Islam, and that he mentioned certain ayat as an address to us regarding concerning the Muslim and others regarding the permissibility of marriage, or the Muslim regarding the permissibility of marriage, and also regarding concerning that marriage, as the ulama have mentioned, that is of the usul regarding concerning of the way of the sunan al-mursaleen, so of the ways and the practice of the prophets and the messengers before us, that also they were involved in marriage, as mentioned by subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلًا, that we have sent concerning رُسُلًا min qablik, before you Muhammad alayhi salam, وَجَعَلْنَا لَكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا وَذُرِّيَّةً, and that we have made you to grant you wives and also descendants. So it shows regarding in Surah Al-Rad, so it shows regarding that this matter regarding an-nikah is not something which is new to us concerning the Muslim of this time, or those of the people of Muhammad, the Ummah of Muhammad alayhi salam, but rather a practice that was applied by even the Anbiya before, of all the Anbiya that came before alayhim salatu wassalam. So the author rahimahullah, hafidullah, he mentioned ayat from the Quran proving the matters regarding the permissibility of nikah. So he mentioned أُحِلَّ لَكُمْ مَا رَأَى ذَلِكُمْ وَأَن تَبْتَغُوا بِأَمْوَالِكُمْ مُحْسِنِينَ غَيْرُ مُسَافِحِينَ. When he mentioned this ayah in relation regarding that what was mentioned in ayah mentioned regarding those people that are forbidden for you to marry. So this ayah, it comes after, so the ayah that was before, it is outlining of those people that you are not allowed to marry, and then after they mention of those that you are allowed to marry outside the ones that were mentioned. So the ayah before and the relationship with this ayah, the one before, it mentioned those that you are not allowed to marry, and list of some group of women that are people that are not allowed to marry each other. Then after then, it mentioned that it is now allowed for you to marry outside those that are mentioned, of those that you are not allowed to marry. You can marry whoever you wish. So this ayah is the proof of this ayah is mentioned in that relation. Aywa.
Moreover, the Prophet ﷺ exhorted people to marry and made marriage desirous and recommendable. He ﷺ said, O young people, whoever among you has the ability to marry should marry, for it helps in lowering one's gaze and guarding one's chastity, i.e. it guards one's private parts from immorality. He ﷺ also said, marry women who are loving and very prolific, for I shall be proud of that the great number of you, i.e. the Muslim nation, in comparison of other nations on the day of resurrection. Among the glorious virtues of marriage are the following.
So in the author, and then the author Hafidullah, he mentioned second after ayat some verse from the Quran regarding the permissibility of marriage. Then he mentioned next regarding, as he mentioned here, a sunnah. So from the sunnah regarding a hadith with the Prophet Islam have encouraged regarding regarding a marriage. So he mentioned concerning some a hadith regarding this matter where Islam mentioned Ya ma'shar al-shabab, where Islam addressing concerning the young folks regarding Man istata'a minkum al-ba. So the ones are those who are able. Then I will discuss concerning the Shaykh Hafidullah. He will discuss concerning, explain this hadith at the end, or at some point he'll explain this hadith. But the ayah, this hadith is encouraged regarding the mention fatazawwaj, that you should get married. Even though I find that jumhur of the ulama regarding concerning this hadith that is mentioned here, the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud in the Bukhari Muslim, that they mention regarding concerning mention fatazawwaj. So Islam mentioned falyatazawwaj. So it is said fi'l al-amr, but in this case it is taken to be not something which is wajib, but something of the ulama that jumhur of the ulama take to be something which is mustahab. So Jumhur, they mention, and we'll discuss concerning the ahkam relating to az-zawaj, that some of the majority of the ulama take that concerning for the tazawwaj, that this is to be understood, or they understand it to be something which is mustahab, something which is permissible, but not by way of being wajib. But that's the qawl of Jumhur of the ulama. Then they mention others regarding of those things that regarding encouragement regarding marriage concern, tazawwaju al-wulud, that those women who are loving and also they are forbearing, that they can bear children. Then he mentioned that of those things, inni makathirukum umam yawm al-qiyamah, of those things that having a lot of children, that with this, that the Prophet Islam hoped that his nation would be the most in number and yawm al-qiyamah. So having a large nation and yawm al-qiyamah from amongst the Muslim. They mentioned this hadith in the Abu Dawood, when Nasa'i, and the hadith they mention hadithul qawi. So the hadith is qawi, the hadith is authentic. The hadith is authentic. Aywa.
Among the glorious virtues of marriage are the following. Marriage involves keeping the existence of the human race, increasing the number of Muslims, causing annoyance to the disbelievers through the procreation of those striving in the cause of Allah, as well as those defending his religion, Islam.
So you find that the first that they mentioned regarding baqa and nasl al-bashar, regarding concerning mankind remaining, concerning certain practice that they have today, if everyone wants to adopt it, mankind won't remain. With me? The certain practice that people are pushing on the people, forcing upon the people regarding concerning that type of sexual indulgement regarding concerning from the same gender, then no one will remain. So Islam is for concerning a relationship between a male and a female, and that's the only recognized relationship between a male and a female. Aywa.
Marriage leads to maintaining chastity and keeping away from the unlawful sexual intercourse that ruins human communities. Marriage involves the responsibility of men towards women, that includes sheltering them and providing for them. Allah exalted be, He says, men are in charge of women by right of what qualities Allah has given one over the other and what they spend for maintenance from their wealth. Surah An-Nisa, ayat 34.
So these are the Shaykh Hafidullah is listing some of the things we said, that masalih wal maqasid, of the virtue and the benefits of marriage. So of the objective behind a marriage, and concern the institution of marriage. The institution of marriage, that these are the benefits that come with it. So when a person get married, regarding concerning ihfaf, al-furuj, that also preserving one's chastity by getting married. So these are the benefits that are attached to a marriage. And also they mention qiyam al-zawj ala marha bi-ra'ati wal-infaq, and also regard that responsibility also come with a marriage, both from the male and the female. So both male and female have certain responsibilities that are expected from them, those things to be covered later. So those are of the benefits of marriage. Aywa.
Marriage creates an atmosphere of tranquility, mutual concord, security and spiritual comfort between both husband and wife. Allah exalted be, He says, and of His signs is that He created for you from yourselves mates, that you may find tranquility in them. Surah Ar-Rum, ayat 21. Allah also says, if it is He who created you from one soul and created from it its mate, that you might dwell in security with her. Surah Al-Araf, ayat 189.
So after all, saying that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created mankind within the nature, as I said, within the nature of how we have been created as mankind, that at a person at a certain point in their life, as they go become adults, that they want to live or to share their life with someone, and you start to have feelings toward others. So of those things that Islam allowed regarding concern that that to live a permissible, upright, and be in a relationship, then do it by way of marriage. So if you want to be in a relationship and want to be something which is noble, respected, then do it by way of marriage. So of the benefit of marriage, aywa, the institution of marriage, aywa.
Marriage is a means of keeping the human communities from being indulged in immoralities that ruin morals and eliminate virtue. Marriage is a means of preserving progeny, keeping blood relations, and establishing honourable families involving mercy, unity, and support in what is right. Marriage raises man above leading animal life and enables him to lead an honourable human life. There are so many other virtues of lawful, honourable marriage which is based on the instructions of the noble Quran, the Sunnah of his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Marriage is a legal contract enabling each spouse to have lawful enjoyment of the other. In support of this view, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Treat women kindly as they are like captives in your houses." In another narration of the hadith, intercourse with them women has been made lawful unto you by the word of Allah through legal marriage.
Aywa. So the author you mentioned regarding of those points that you mentioned that hif al-ansab, that and also regarding concern that of the benefit of marriage, that for mankind to be they said better than that of the animals. But I remember once or a while back watching a clip where it was like in one of the African country, they had like in their parliament, they were discussing a matter regarding same gender relationship. So they see it as in our continent, it is something which is foreign to us. We don't know of this practice. So one person said, that one of the politician in the parliament said, that this is a practice of the animal. They want us to regulate us the animal practice. So that one guy said, "Can I correct you? Even animals don't do this. The animals don't have relationship between man, male with male." He said, amongst the animals, they do not have this practice. It's not known to even the animals.
Deep.
So I'm saying, that was like, Allah Mustan, deep. Even the animals don't per se have this type of way of how they function. But overall, that Islam have certain things that they are put in place regarding concerning the masalih wal maqasid of the virtue and the benefit and the objective regarding, as mentioned as marital life. And the Shaykh Hafidullah have mentioned some of those. Then he mentioned regarding concerning that a general definition, a slight definition regarding an-nikah. So he mentioned an-nikah عقد شرعي يقتضي حل الاستمتاع كل من الزوجين بالآخر. So that's a general definition of what is said to be act al-nikah or marriage. So regarding concerning that it's a covenant between the male and female that they are allowed to have rights upon each other, to have certain rights upon each other that were not there before. Then I mentioned regarding concern, it's not some hadith regarding this matter. We mentioned the hadith that he mentioned here, that I mentioned regarding concern that hadith, استو بالنساء خير فإنهن عوان عندكم, or some narration mentioned that I mentioned عندكم عوانا, that I mentioned the next reaction that there's some discussion regarding that hadith. There's some discussion. But Jova mentioned the hadith that it is Hassan and it raised the level of Sahih li ghayri. So they mentioned the hadith there is Hassan, that it elevates the level of Sahih li ghayri. So Sheikh Albani all hadith to be Hassan, Sheikh Arnahoud all hadith to be Hassan li ghayri, but asl of hadith he mentioned it is Hassan.
The marriage contract is a covenant between two spouses, as Allah exalted be He says, and they have taken from you a solemn covenant. Ayat 21, Surah An-Nisa. Thus, it is a binding contract obligating each spouse to observe the other's rights dutifully. Allah He says, "O you who have believed, fulfill all contracts." Surah Ma'idah, Ayat 1.
So of those contracts regarding concerning really a marriage contract, so it mentioned that awfu bil uqud, of those that include marital contracts, where each person has certain roles to fulfill, that they try their best to fulfill their role and their duties, both from the husband and the wife.
Polygamy. It has been made lawful for the man to marry more than one, provided that he is able to do so, and is certain he would not be unjust in dealing with them. Allah exalted be He says, "Then marry those that please you of other women, 2 or 3 or 4. But if you fear that you would not be just, then marry only one." Surah An-Nisa, Ayat 3. The kind of justice required from the man is to treat his wives equally as much as possible, putting them all on an equal footing regarding provisions, clothing, housing, and even the number of nights spent with them.
So they mentioned regarding concerning تعدد الزوجات, then also that as its own ahkam, where the general thing is that the husband, if he was to have up to several wives, up to 4, the maximum being up to 4, that of those things regarding that he treat them with adl. So of adl, the ulama discuss as to this adl, this level of being just and fair towards one wife. What does this actually involve? So they mentioned that is it mean that everything has to be done equally 50-50, or what? They mentioned as some in some things that a person tries to be as just and fair as possible. That they mentioned regarding concerning التسوية, this justice والعدل مستطاع. He mentioned هو التسوية بين زوجات في نفقة في كسوة في مسكن والبيت, or مسكن والبيت. So it includes regarding that this being just and fair to them, that in whatever one give to the other in maintenance, in nafaka, then it should be equal. Then also he discussed regarding, so the person tried to be just in that manner. Also regarding al-kiswa will be concerning clothing, and also maskin regarding the house and what it contains, and also mabit, and also how many days that are spent, how many time that is spent. So it's trying to be just in all that, trying to be just in all of those things. Just as it means everything has to be 50-50. If one is taller than the other, and her garments may cost more than the other, does the person have to make sure that, whatever it has to be just? So in that thing, it doesn't have to be, as they say, 50-50. Clear? So in those things, doesn't necessarily have to be 50-50, but it be just in whatever the other he provide the other with, then also he provides the other with. And also mention regarding a just, that there's a give each what they're deserving as to like a certain threshold that is given to each. Anything above it, then it goes to according to his discretion. So you have those things that are discussed. But as the author here mentioned, that try to be as fair and equal as possible. Aywa, tafaddal.
In addition, permissibility of polygamy is one of the virtues of the Sharia Islamic law. It is applicable at all times and anywhere, as it involves great benefits for men, women, and society. In explaining more, it is known that the number of women exceed that of men due to the dangers of men are more likely to face, such as wars and travelling. This results in less number of men compared to women. Thus, if it is impermissible for a man to marry more than one woman, many women will remain unmarried. Moreover, it is known that women are afflicted with menses and confinement, so if it is made prohibited for a man to marry more than one woman, there will be many times at which a man is deprived of enjoyment and procreation. Furthermore, it is known that enjoying one's wife fully and fruitfully begins to decline when she reaches menopause at the age of 50, unlike man who still has the ability as well as the desire for enjoyment and procreation until he reaches senility. Therefore, if marriage is restricted to one woman, man will then miss much good in addition to losing the benefits of having progeny and procreation. Since the number of women exceeds that of men in most communities, allowing man to marry only one woman will result in that many women will not find breadwinners to provide for them. Consequently, lacking breadwinners may lead to women to immorality and corruption, and the deprivation of the joy and adornment of life. Hence, there are so many virtues resulting from the permissibility of polygamy, so may Allah curse whoever intends to view otherwise and tries to invalidate such beneficial lawful matters.
Some of those tests regarding concern that they'll find that, or you find that in certain society, that if they want to put a test upon the people, as mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ, they use women. They use a woman if they want to bring a test upon a community. They use a woman. Fallahu musta'an. Aywa.
Different rulings on marriage. According to the Sharia, there are 5 rulings on marriage: obligatory, desirable, allowable, prohibited, and detestable.
So Sheikh, he mentioned regarding concern as for nikah, regarding the ahkam al-hukum, regarding a nikah, that he mentioned that of the ulama, that they are placed that nikah, it falls into those 5 categories. Ahkam al-shar'iyya al-khamsa. So the ahkam al-shar'iyya is khamsa. So he mentioned that a nikah also fall in all of those 3 categories. At times, it may be for a particular person wajib, at times for a particular person mustahab, at times taratan mubah, at times muharram or makruh. So according to they have mentioned that a nikah, that it falls into these 5 categories. Of those things that I mentioned regarding the ulama, regarding concerning, but the asl of getting married, what is that ruling? The asl of getting married, asl fi nikah, what's this ruling? Is it wajib or mustahab? So you find that, as we mentioned of the Anbiya, all of them got married. And the Prophet Islam also himself, ﷺ, that he set an example regarding marriage. And also the Sahaba, that they set example regarding, and they said that they set example regarding getting married. So they mentioned, asl fi nikah lil qadir, for a person who is able. So the asl, the root, or the original ruling for the person who is able to undertake marriage. What's the hustle for that? What's the ruling for that person? Is it wajib because he's able and capable, or it is something which is mustahab? So you have that discussion between the ulama, and ala qawlain, of those who say it is mustahab and those who mention it is wajib. So you have that discussion regarding this matter regarding the asl of nikah. But the Shaykh mentioned that nikah divides into 5 categories. Just a point, there's a benefit possibly, that also you find that they mentioned that concern that nikah is something which is fall under those 5 categories. Of those, you'll find that, and some have written a book regarding of the ulama who never got married. So books that have been written that lists regarding of the ulama that never got married. So amongst those that are famous, that they mention that Ibn Jarir at-Tabari, the Mufassir, Mashi. So amongst those, you have of the more famous one, Ibn Taymiyyah, and also amongst those famous one, An-Nawawi, and others. But of the ulama who did not per se got married, that of those that are mentioned, as we some of those are mentioned, so because of the things they were involved in, that because of their situation. But of the ulama who somewhat did not get married, you have books just on that topic. You have a book just on that topic. Aywa.
Marriage becomes obligatory for those who fear committing zina, adultery, or fornication, as marriage is a means of chastity and avoidance of what is prohibited. In this connection, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on him, said, if one is in need of marriage and he fears committing a sin by leaving it, one may give priority to getting marriage over performing pilgrimage, obligatory pilgrimage. Others view that marriage for such a person is more preferable than supererogatory pilgrimage, fasting, or prayer. They also maintain that in this case, one's financial state does not matter. Shaykh Taqiyuddin said, according to the apparent view of Ahmed as well as the majority of scholars, one should not consider wealth before marriage, as Allah exalted be He says, if they should be poor, Allah will enrich them from His bounty. Surah An-Nur, Ayat 32. Even the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sometimes had nothing in his house as well. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam once concluded marriage for a man who could not even afford a ring of iron as a dowry.
So that's concern of those things regarding that nikah that they're discussing as we start, regarding that a person who's able, but of those things that he may not fully have is financial security, as they say today. So is that, in that case, is it for that person still to get married because of his financial situation? That Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah mentioned a person should still go forth and get married. That person should still prepare go forth and get married, even though he's financially not, they said, settled. Aywa.
Marriage becomes desirable when there is a desire or libado, but there is no fear of committing unlawful sexual intercourse, as marriage involves many benefits for both men and women. Marriage.
So they mentioned regarding the first case أن يكون النكاح واجب. So in the case of واجب, the condition على أن يخاف على نفسه الزنا وإن ترك, meaning that he leaves away marriage and a person that he fears for himself falling into zina. This applies to male and female. So ahkam and nikah they're discussing, it applies both for male and female. Now, so if the person fear that they are able to get married and they fear for themselves falling into zina, illicit relationship, then that person, that they should go forth in getting married. They should start and they should look into getting married. Then I mentioned the second case, aywa, yustahab, that regarding the person that wujud shahwa, he has that desire, but also adam al-khawf. He doesn't per se fear adam al-khawf min zina. He doesn't fear falling into zina. Say somewhat of some control of his desire to some degree. So he doesn't per se fear falling into zina. In that case, then it mentioned his mustahab, because he's able and have the desire, but even though he doesn't fear for himself falling into zina, but he should also look into getting, for him it is preferred for him to get married, preferred and encouraged for him to get married in that scenario. Aywa?
Marriage becomes allowable when there is no lust, but there is a desire for marriage itself, such as the case with the impotent and the old. However, in such cases, marriage might be detestable, as it deprives the wife of the actual purpose of marriage, namely safeguarding her chastity, as a husband's impotency causes a wife great harm.
So in that case regarding al-mubah, as he mentions, no mubah, it is allowed, but also that what is allowed for one may also be something becomes that could change into being something which is disliked. So it could came into something which is disliked with a person, yes, capable, but doesn't have the desire for marriage, get married because of his situation and circumstance, that he may cause harm to that other person, may cause harm to the other person. And our alam regarding concerning of nikah, that may be aywa makruh also in our times regarding concerning that nikah al makruh is you find the Sheikh Albani and others mentioned, that a person living and marrying a Christian Ali Kitab in their society. So a person that may marry a woman from the book in the West, in their society, we find that the system is more on their side, and you are said that, and that you are seen, especially now you're seen as the minority, where the law is more in support of them concerning the children. That the law would more side with her than with you, the husband, in this society. So in that case, concerned that. And also a child being more influence, stronger influence, double the influence, negative influence on a child going down her line of faith. So those things that concern that and nikah in this society, something that a matter that needs to be looked at carefully. Aywa.
Marriage becomes.
And we're not saying it's harama. We're not saying that to marry al-kitab is harama. But to do it, the person has to somewhat think about it carefully. Aywa.
Marriage becomes prohibited for a Muslim man who lives in a disbelieving country engaged in a war of Muslims. Marriage in this case may expose his family to danger and being captured by the disbelievers. In addition, he will not feel secure for his wife living among them. It is an act of the Sunnah to marry a religious, chaste woman of a noble origin. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "A woman is married for 4 reasons: her wealth, her family status, her beauty, and her religiousness. So you should marry the religious one, or else you will be a loser." Related by Al-Bukhari and Muslim.
Regarding that, I mentioned that regarding a person, and that also these things that applies to a female also applies to a male. So what applies in this hadith regarding a male, a female also applies to a male regarding looking of marriage, which says not many people that in looking of marriage, of these are the things that they kind of somewhat they look into in detail regarding concerning that wealth, lineage, regarding beauty, regarding of deen. That I mentioned to the person for the Muslim that he put a lot of emphasis regarding the personal level of commitment to the deen. their level of commitment to the deen. And it applies for male and female. It applies to male and female. Aywa.
Moreover, it is stated that the Prophet ﷺ forbade marrying a woman for the sake of something other than her religiousness. To illustrate, the Prophet ﷺ said, "You should not marry women for the sake of their beauty, for it might lead them to ruin through arrogance and conceit. Nor should you marry them for the sake of their wealth, for it might lead them to transgression. Rather, you should marry them for the sake of their religiousness." The Prophet ﷺ recommended...
هذا الحديث that I mentioned here حديث ضعيف. هذا حديث ضعيف. في يعني عبد الرحمن Afriki. So one of the narrators in the hadith, عبد الرحمن Afriki, and mentioned that of the ulama said the hadith ضعيف. Shaykh Albani who hadith to be ضعيف جدا. But عبد الرحمن ibn Ziyad Afriki, that mutakallim, it is well known that there's some discussion regarding him and all him to be weak. أيوة. Ibn Afriki. Or Abdul Rahman ibn Ziyad Afriki.
The Prophet ﷺ recommended that a man marry a virgin. He ﷺ said, Jabir radiallahu anhu, "Why have you not married a virgin so that you may play with her and she may play with you?" Related by Al-Bukhari and Muslim. This is because marrying a virgin involves absolute intimacy and affection, as she has no ex-husband to whom her heart might be attached, affecting her desire and affection for the present husband. Moreover, it is considered an act of the sunnah that one marries a fertile woman, one of those women known for their fecundity. Anas anhu narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Marry women who are loving and very prolific, for I shall be proud of the great number of you are a Muslim nation in comparison with other nations on the day of resurrection." Related by An-Nasa'i and other compilers of hadith. There are also other hadiths carrying the same meaning.
So here the Shaykh Hafidhullah is discussing regarding of those things regarding marriage is concerning sifat az-zawj wa zawja. So it says that what are those description, those qualities that a person should look for in a wife or an husband. So even though you find most of the books of the fuqaha, when they discuss concerning sifat az-zawja, they discuss sifat az-zawja. What's the description of the wife? But also it applies to sifat of the what? The husband. Yeah. So as a woman she has to make a choice. So what choice, what are the things that she should look for in choosing a husband? Just as the husband should have some idea as to what he wants from his wife. So what are the description or attributes that this woman should have that that the person is interested in? So that as a husband or a person looking for a wife, that you have certain basic, you have like a list of sifat qualities that you want from a wife. These are the basic stuff she must come with, or he must come with it. Now, that the person doesn't have, for example, that you want a wife of this is an example that of a certain age group. I want a woman, I'm, for example, as an example, the person says, no, I'm in my mid-20s, I'm 25. I'll take a woman who's just about, for example, 10 years my older. Anything above that, then that's not, I'm not for that. So she's 50 and he's 25. Then just leave it. Don't even, you understand? I said, no, don't even don't make it seem that you're pursuing the matter because it's not what you want. Because she doesn't fulfill your basic criteria. Or vice versa. She's a girl, she's 25. She wants a person who may be 10 years or older. He's 60. Then just leave it. With me? So certain basic things, if that's your criteria, just keep it. Rather than kind of somewhat waste the person's time and also your time. Then the person can also have that very basic criteria that the person must come with this. The woman said, okay, I want a husband. He's a person who is working or active looking for work. So he's 35 and never worked in his life and not looking for a job. Then just leave him. Just leave him. Because he doesn't have your basic criteria. He's not a person who is into working. So he's having a basic criteria regarding what are those attributes that the person should bring to the table. And if the person fulfills those criteria, then you start to look to, okay, what are the other things that now you want for the person to have? What are those other criteria? So look, so having certain type of criteria, and the Shaykh mentioned regarding of these criteria to look at regarding ad-deen. Also the person look concerning that they mention of those things, that deen would be top of the list. Also wulud, a woman who's childbearing, if you want to have a lot of children, you understand, then that would be one of your primary criteria, because that's what you desire, you want a lot of children. Also a person who is also a woman, also the primary for husband and wife, that the person is good akhlaq, or what is a reasonable akhlaq in your eyes that you want from that person. Also regarding concern that they mention regarding that of a criteria, that if for a wife, also for a husband maybe, that a person arda bil yasir, that a person that they are willing, they can satisfy with not much if they were to find themselves in that situation. So a person that yes, if situation may change, we find that things a bit difficult at times, it is something you can be patient with. Or as things change, you're gone. Your criteria, it must be wealthy. The wealth left, you left with it. So of those things to take into consideration. Also regarding husn al-kalam, that a woman that also can somewhat, men or women, that they can somewhat, they can, so the most part, we say the most part, that they, when they speak well. Instead of a word that they're polite to each other as husband and wife. Husn al-kalam, the way up there, respectful. Not always, not a person who says a very loose tongue. Not from a wife, not from a husband, even something, and so a person very loose in their tongue. Also a person regarding concerning dabt an-nafs, that a person also that al-ghadab, that they don't lose their temper quick. The slightest thing and they're gone. From 0 to 1,000,000, then that can be problematic in the relationship. Because as human being, you will make mistake. A husband will make mistake to his wife, might say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, and she can shoot from 0 to 100, or vice versa. So the person has to know too, and also that may even spill over into one children. Children is there, you have children, and things happen, and things get out of hand. So the person also does be to look into those things. Tafaddal, Sheikh. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu rasulullah. So just continue regarding of those things that they mentioned regarding of those sifat that one should be mindful of, that they mentioned, that after all I mentioned concerning that hasiba. So hasiba, that they mentioned that she's from a good family. In the sense of marrying a woman also that, or a woman marrying a man, of those things that you need to know about a person regarding her family members. Which, the house that she came from, who are those people? And vice versa, she should kind of somewhat, before you get married, get the act nikah, that you should meet her family and she meet your family. You understand? Unless she have no family members, but trying to meet and to speak to her family members, so you can have an idea with the type of family that you'll be going into. So you have an idea, so, and you can see also their conduct and their behavior. I always said, no, so you want to know concerns, you know, that does she have brother? If anything happen, they can look for you. You understand? They can look for you. Or vice versa. You understand? You have your sister go and thump her up, as they say. So, is knowing those things. The family member of those of her family, what kind of people they are. You understand? Are they a family that my family and her family that, you know, we can blend together, or we always see things differently? So, and those things will impact on your marriage and also your children and the likes. Those things come into play. Now, also the type of friends she has or he has. What the people of us have. Her companions, his companions. The type of companion that he keeps, that can tell you the type of people that is his personality and the people that he's comfortable with. And likewise for her. So knowing the type of friends that he and she has, type of thing, then also those things are important. As I said, they're a person known to be, they have tawadu, they're people who are like noble, that people have haya, not people are vulgar. So is knowing of certain things that of the both sides, that's knowing certain things. So those are things that are mentioned regarding of things that a person can somewhat, in choosing a husband and wife, of certain things the person should have in front of them as a list that to check those things. To check those things that are those things in place, as a checklist, as they say today, have a checklist. Now have a checklist. With the time, I think we can complete everything in 10 minutes?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, طيب. تفضل.
The ruling pertaining to marriage differs according to the condition of the person, his physical and financial ability, as well as his preparedness to shoulder its responsibility. The Prophet ﷺ exhorts young people to get married early as they need it more than others do. He ﷺ said, "O young people, whoever among you has the ability to marry should marry, for it helps in lowering one's gaze and guarding one's chastity, i.e. it guards one's private parts against committing adultery. And whoever does not have the ability to marry should fast, for fasting is protection for him as it diminishes one's sexual desire." Related by Al-Bukhari, Muslim and other compilers of hadith. In explaining the aforementioned hadith, some scholars view that the ability refers to the ability to copulate, while others believe that ability here refers to the financial ability to afford marriage. In addition, the phrase "for it helps in lowering one's gaze" means that marriage helps the married one to keep away from gazing in ajnabiyas.
Foreigners.
Moreover, the phrase "and guarding one's chastity" means that marriage keeps one away from committing fornication. Then the Prophet ﷺ enjoined that whoever does not have the ability to marry and cannot afford it should fast, i.e. should resort to performing voluntary fasting as a substitutive remedy, as fasting is protection against committing unlawful sexual intercourse because it diminishes one's sexual desires. This is due to the fact that abstaining from food and water lessens one's lust. In addition to this, fasting involves a special feeling of piety and fear of Allah, exalted be He who says, "O you who have believed, decreed upon you is fasting as it was decreed upon those before you, that you may become righteous." Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayah 183. Allah, exalted be He, also says, "But the fast is best for you if you only knew." Surah Baqarah 184. In brief, the Prophet ﷺ commanded resisting lust and avoiding its dangers by resorting to two successive matters. The first one is to marry when there is the ability to do so, and the second is to resort to voluntary fasting in case one cannot afford marriage. This indicates that it is impermissible for a man to let himself be exposed to the dangers of sins. Allah, exalted be He, says, and married and unmarried among you, and the righteous among your male slaves and female slaves. If they should be poor, Allah will enrich them from His bounty, and Allah is all-compassing and knowing. But let them who find not the means for marriage abstain from sexual relations until Allah enriches them from His bounty. Surah An-Nur, ayat 32 to 33.
Naam, Jazakallah khair. So that inshallah ta'ala, that we have ended this first chapter in the discussion regarding ahkam and nikah that is mentioned about Allah ta'ala. So next week we'll continue discussing other aspects regarding of those ahkam that relates to nikah. And the second, or what comes next, would be ahkam al-khitbah. So ahkam al-khitbah would be of those things to be covered regarding the ahkam of al-nikah. وبالله تعالى توفيق وهذا السبيل. الحمد لله.